You know, when you think about how the world's biggest, most impossible problems get solved, it's rarely by copying what's been done before. The real innovators, they go back to the very beginning. They start over. And that's how they find solutions that everyone else missed. Today, we're going to dive into the mental model they use, drawing from this incredible guide on first principles thinking. So most of us solve problems in one of two ways. And our default setting almost always is thinking by analogy. It's basically looking around and saying, well, this is how everyone else is doing it, so we'll do that too. But then there's first principles thinking. And this approach just ignores all that. It asks a much more powerful question. What is absolutely fundamentally true about this situation? And look, this isn't some obscure academic idea. It's the go-to method for people like Elon Musk, who have totally upended entire industries. He uses it as a kind of reality check, a way to figure out if an idea is truly logical or if it's just following the crowd. So, how does this actually work? All right, we are going to break down this powerful way of rethinking pretty much everything. We're moving from just the idea of it to a real practical playbook you can actually use. And here's why that matters so much. Thinking by analogy will get you a faster horse. It absolutely will. But it will never invent the car. It's a way of thinking that keeps you stuck inside the current box, just making slightly better versions of what's already there. For a real breakthrough, you got to get out of the box completely. So let's get a proper definition. What are we really talking about? What even is a first principle? Well, the idea is ancient. We're talking Aristotle level old. He called it the first basis from which a thing is known. Basically, it's the absolute bedrock truth of something, a fact that can't be broken down any further. It's not based on another assumption, it just is. It's the raw material of reality. Think of it like this. Instead of looking at a finished car and thinking about how to make it better, you take the whole thing apart. I mean, completely apart, down to every last screw, wire, and piece of metal. It's only when you understand those fundamental bits and pieces that you can start to imagine putting them back together in a totally new and maybe much better way. And this has been the secret weapon for geniuses throughout history. It's timeless. You have Aristotle, of course. Then Euclid used it to build the entire foundation of geometry from just a few basic truths. Fast forward to Descartes, who famously used it to question everything he thought he knew. And today, it's the engine driving some of the biggest revolutions in tech and business. Okay, enough philosophy. Let's get practical. Because this isn't just an idea, it's a process. Let's walk through the actual 7-step playbook. And here it is. This is our roadmap. It takes you all the way from figuring out your goal to picking a final solution. It's a really systematic way to force yourself to think creatively and land on some truly original ideas. To really see how this works, we're going to use a super high-stakes example from our source material, Cape Town's water crisis back in 2018. The city was literally counting down to day 0, the day the taps would actually run dry. Okay, so let's apply the first 2 steps. Step 1, the objective, is obvious. Make sure people have enough fresh water to live. Step 2, the obstacles also seem pretty clear. Not enough rain, the reservoirs are low, and people are using too much water. Now, this is the point where most problem-solving stops. But this is where first principles thinking completely changes the game. Step 3 is all about attacking every single assumption behind those obstacles. You have to go full Socrates on this, just relentlessly asking why, and is that really true, until you smash through the conventional wisdom. And this process leads to an absolutely revolutionary question. The biggest assumption of all is that fresh water comes from rain filling up dams. But what if that's wrong? By asking, do we really need rain to get fresh water, you completely shatter the old way of thinking and open up a whole new universe of possibilities. And once you've stripped away all those assumptions, this is what you're left with. The pure, undeniable truths. Your first principles. Water is H2O. The air around us contains hydrogen and oxygen. A human needs a certain amount of liquid to survive. That's it. These are your new fundamental building blocks. This takes us to step 5, where you get to reframe the entire problem. You're no longer asking, how do we get more rain? Now you're asking, how can we create H2O from the components that are all around us? That simple shift, based on those first principles, is where true innovation is born. And just look at the kind of ideas that pop up. I mean, they sound like science fiction, but they're completely grounded in the principles we just found. You could build machines that literally pull water out of the humid air, Or, and I love this one, you could go and tow a giant iceberg from Antarctica. But this is also where steps 6 and 7, refine and select, are so critical. Is towing an iceberg possible? Kinda. Is it practical? No way. The cost and logistics are insane. So that idea gets filtered out. But atmospheric water generators? Now that's a technology you can refine, scale, and actually implement. It's a profoundly new solution, built from scratch, that's actually a viable option.
So what does this all mean? Well, this whole method offers a completely new way forward for any time we feel like we've hit a wall.
Let's just put it side by side to make it super clear. Analogical thinking accepts assumptions, copies what's been done before, and ends up with small improvements. First principles thinking challenges those very assumptions, builds from fundamental truths, and creates solutions that are profoundly new. It's the real difference between just iterating and truly inventing. And honestly, this is the most important takeaway of all. You do not have to be a billionaire building rockets to use this. It's a practical, step-by-step tool. Whether you're a student struggling with a project, an entrepreneur starting a business, or just anyone trying to solve a tough problem, this is a method for you. All it takes is the willingness to question what you think you know and build from what's fundamentally true. So that really just leaves one final question. Think about a challenge you're facing right now, big or small. What are the assumptions that are holding you back? And what incredible solutions might be waiting for you if you were just willing to start from scratch?